This is Pulse 95.
Pulse 95.
It's the Morning Majlis.
It's the Morning Majlis.
Talking the stories that are shaping headlines, plus those that make you go,
Hi everybody, good morning. Welcome to the Morning Majlis show where we talk about stories shaping the headlines. It's me, Ahmed Dawood, with Rania Saadi, and we have so much to talk about this morning. We're going to cover some developments taking across from us here in Europe, in fact, and we're going to be talking about what France is doing with regards to child influencers. So say your kid's on YouTube making videos. What are the legal protections? And, you know, it's going to be a pretty interesting discussion as well for parents here whose kids more and more these days want to be YouTube influencers. So stay tuned as we discuss that and so much more.
Yeah, we're going to have a nice debate about this one.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Another interesting conversation that we'll be having in just a few minutes will be with Mr. Hisham Akhtar, Senior Venture Associate at Sheraa. And we're going to talk about how Sheraa has made some major announcements recently in its bid to support the regional and entrepreneurial ecosystem, primarily in the launch of two new initiatives, the Ucan Initiative and the United for Beirut Initiative. So stay tuned for that conversation.
That's right. We're also going to be discussing a number of major road and infrastructure projects launched in Sharjah by His Highness Sheikh Dr. Sultan bin Mohammed Al Qasmi, Supreme Council member and ruler of Sharjah. So stay tuned for those discussions and so much more on the Morning Majlis.
Absolutely. And if you got a talent for something cool that needs to be seen, heard, or believed, whether you believe you are a great singer, guitarist, actor, anything, get in touch with Pulse 95 and be part of the Saturday Vibe Show hosted by the one and only Yella Holmes Big Hass. It will be this Saturday and every Saturday starting from 6 p.m. And how can they reach us?
They could go to text95.com. That'll automatically connect you to our WhatsApp number. Or you could text us at 4215. Pretty much tell us what your talent is, and it could be just about anything. Big Hass loves talent, loves featuring odd talents on his show as well. So it's the Saturday Vibe from 6 p.m. And guess what? You're eligible to win amazing prizes as well. There are a lot of sponsors lined up. We're going to be talking to you about that in more detail. So let us know if you're interested. 4215 is the number. Text95.com. Get on it. Saturday Vibe with Big Hass. And stay tuned to Pulse 95.
This is Pulse 95.
Pulse 95.
It's the Morning Majlis.
It's the Morning Majlis.
Welcome back onto the show, and we're going to have a little bit of a debate, conversation, see what we think about child influencers, whether on YouTube or any other social media platform. Now, we know recently most teens use some form of social media and have a profile on a social networking site somehow. Many visit these sites every single day and perhaps throughout the whole day, really. There are plenty of good things about social media. We cannot escape that fact. But also, many risks and things kids and teens should avoid are still there. They don't always make good choices when they post something to a site, and this can lead to many problems. And it's important to talk to your kids, if you're a parent, about how to use social media wisely. There's always good and bad sides about everything, and social media is one. So social media can definitely help kids stay connected with friends and family, volunteer to get involved with, let's say, campaign, nonprofit or charity or something like that, with good initiatives, let's say. Also, it can enhance their creativity by sharing ideas, music, art. They can meet and interact with others who share similar interests. They can communicate with educators and fellow students, but there is always that bad side that raises a lot of concerns and has a lot of bad consequences to it. Now, most teens, they post photos of themselves online or use their real names on their profiles. They reveal their birth dates, they reveal their interests, they reveal what's going on in their households. They post their school names and the towns where they live, which makes them easy targets for online predators and others who might mean them harm. In fact, many teens say they have been contacted online by someone they don't know in a way that made them feel scared or uncomfortable, received online advertising that was inappropriate for their age, And also, they were contacted by people who lied about their age to get access to websites or their age and their information in general. So there's so many problems besides cyberbullying and online predators and all of that. Kids should be educated and should be monitored. So with that conversation starting like that, and in line with this being said, France has just introduced a new law to protect young social media stars, because we know that, as we talked about that earlier, child influencers, they're big right now.
Yeah.
They're big, and
Oh,
they're
yeah.
earning so much money, especially on YouTube platform, for example. So it's a big thing now. So it's important to kind of protect those children, right?
It
so
is, yeah.
this legislation aims to regulate the hours under 16. Is that 16 seconds?
Yes, 16.
Yeah, can work online and what happens to their earnings. It also enshrines the right to be forgotten, meaning that platforms will be obliged to take down content on the child's request. So the popularity of child influencers has grown rapidly, as we know in recent years, with a number of young names appearing on the list of YouTube's top earners. So this change will make France a pioneer in the rights of child social media stars, and that's just to start with.
Yeah, this is a new law, and essentially draws up a legal framework for how you perceive what those children are doing on the internet. And we're not just talking about your average kid starting up a YouTube channel and an Instagram page, posting photos of their friends and family.
Right.
We're talking about the kids who make a steady income out of this, kids who have sponsors. Ryan Kaji, for instance, from Ryan Toys Review. This kid's 7 years old. He's worth
He's big.
7.7 million pounds. That's the net worth. So it's quite staggering, and it's a gray area as well, because A, this is child labor. 2, the kid's making money, but the kid's so young that the agency they have over their ability to make financial decisions as to where the money goes, that could be compromised because of a guardian.
Exactly.
And how much responsibility do you give the guardian? How much interference should the state give? Those are all questions that are under debate. But what France is doing now is they're saying if you're under 16, you're considered a child. And you are entitled to certain legal protections, including having your earnings wind up on a special bank account until you turn 16. That's where your income lands. And it's the same law that they're using for child actors, child performers as well. But it is interesting to see how the law is really adapting to quick changes in the way people make money and new forms of labor, particularly this influencer model that's exploded in popularity in recent years, where brands funnel money and products towards social media stars with large followers. And these days, a lot of those stars are children as well.
Yeah. What do you think of them?
It's a whole thing. I mean, to ask the question, would you let your child become a kid
Would you?
influencer?
If you had a child, would you let him be a kid influencer if he had the talent?
It's so tough. I really wouldn't know how to answer that question. I think it comes with a lot of negatives. Just striving for likes on social media, the mask that you have to put on to maintain that front and get people to continuously like you and peddle and sell products. It doesn't seem like a healthy lifestyle, like spiritually.
It's not. I feel like it's not, because will that child maintain that if that child will become an adult?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I like you as a child. I like this character, I like this charisma, I like this personality as, for example, this 7-year-old. But once that 7-year-old becomes 17 or 27, will I like that same character that I liked you for when you were 7?
Yeah.
So that kind of burden that's on the child, will that child, when he or she grows up, will they handle it? Because at some point, people, we can't run away from the fact that people get tired and they get bored easily.
Absolutely.
With all the ideas around, right? So people will eventually get tired of that influencer, or they will just, see the next craze.
Yeah.
Who's the next big shot or the next big influencer out there? So the child will think initially that, okay, I'm seeing all this success and this is going to keep going. because they're not that mature yet. They don't know how life works.
Yeah.
It's temporary, right? And it will take a lot of work for this to develop and to become, let's say, permanent. The success.
You're right, yeah.
Like the first thing that comes to my mind is, or the first person or two people that come to my mind, Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. Remember them?
Yes.
They were on Full House when they were like little babies. Like
They were very young.
They were
yeah.
very young, like they were babies, and they grew up. Okay, they had a good chance because they starred in many series, and I remember they had films as well. But then they had to get into the fashion business in order for them to make money, right? They used their stardom, but in another industry, right? Because now, do you see them anywhere?
No.
They disappeared.
And if you
Even
do,
though they were
if-
talented and they were very fun to watch.
Whenever they surface as well, it's always in a negative light. Like they're
Yeah.
in trouble.
They're in
always in trouble.
So you don't see them anymore, not in any production, not in any film or series or anything like that, because simply I believe, and maybe I'm wrong,
Yeah.
their time is finished. Because they played their role as children or as adolescents, and that's what people accepted them for, that's what people like them for. So now they had to get into other industries to make money and to keep the success going when it comes especially to money.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought this up because this is one of the closest analogs we have to
Yeah.
child influencers is child Hollywood actors. Where are they today? And it's an incredibly toxic place to be in Hollywood, under the spotlight, dealing with fame, with fans, and even possible predators trying to groom you as well.
Yeah.
It's not something that you consent to as a kid when you're 6, 7, 8. You don't know what you're doing in life.
Exactly.
And this highlights the role of parents here. Just how much are these child influencers influenced by their parents? It's quite likely that a lot of them are being pushed to do this, but they didn't ask for this, and it could have massive permanent ramifications on their lives as they
Yeah.
grow up as well. So it is incredibly tricky and even could deprive them of having a childhood in the first place, because you're literally working, putting in hours to make a wage, but you haven't even had a life experience yet. So yeah, it's
That's why
complicated.
it's very important, to be monitored and also educated by the parents constantly and
Definitely.
be talked with by the parents. They have to say that, listen, if this does not go well, if this does not continue, it's fine. They have to prepare them mentally and emotionally if this success is not going to be permanent.
Yeah. Well,
Or the stardom.
definitely. I mean, nothing is forever.
Exactly.
Even whatever fame you might have, whether or not that's truly fulfilling to you, those thousands of likes,
Yeah.
we have a tendency to want more always.
Yeah.
So to get into that lifestyle of, I'm going to get likes, I'm worried about my likes, I'm worried if people like me, I'm worried they stopped liking me. Is that really the healthiest frame to impose on your kid as they grow up and learn more about the world? Maybe not.
Yeah.
But let us know. Text us at 4215 what you think of this topic. Would you let your child become a social media influencer? What do you think that does to them? Join the conversation. Text lines are open, 4215. And up next, we're going to talk about what Sharjah is doing to promote its entrepreneurial ecosystem. So stay tuned. This is the Morning Majlis.
This is Pulse 95.
Pulse 95.
It's the Morning Majlis.
It's the Morning Majlis.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Welcome back to the Morning Majlis. And this segment, we'll be talking about the Sharjah Entrepreneurship Center. Now, throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, they've been doing a great deal to empower entrepreneurs in order for them to find solutions during this trying time. And yet another initiative launched by the Sharjah Entrepreneurship Center is called Ucan, or the Ubuntu Care and Nurture Initiative. And here to talk to us all about it is Sheeraa's Senior Venture Associate, Hisham Akhtar. Welcome to the program, Hisham.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you with us. Let's start by talking about what exactly is the Ucan Initiative.
So recently, we launched two initiatives that have their genesis in the $1 million Startup Solidarity Fund that we launched in May 2020. The fund was part of our pledge to help startups that have been adversely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, while honoring the Ubuntu Love Challenge, a global movement by Sheraa chairperson Sheikh Abdul bin Sultan Al Qasmi and Africa 2.0 Foundation founder Mamadou Toure. So one of the initiatives that we launched was the United for Beirut initiative. It's a $100,000 equity-free fund to enable high-impact Lebanese startups and help them, rebuild and reignite the innovation movement in Beirut. And essentially, we selected 10 startups, giving each of them $10,000 grants that are operating in vital sectors such as housing, water, sanitation, and healthcare. Coming to the Ucan Startup Awards specifically, this is a $250,000 equity-free competition, which was also launched recently as part of the broader fund. And this one specifically aims to help startups from Africa and Middle East that are invested in creating high-impact, tangible solutions for current and pressing global challenges that are imposed by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say the Ucan Initiative itself, it focuses on two tracks. So healing the world, which translates into health tech, and feeding the future, which translates into agri-food tech, basically.
So what are the criteria set by Sheraa for startups interested in enrolling in the Ucan Initiative?
Yeah, so, the first criteria, like I mentioned, is, we're looking for startups that are either in the health tech, space or the agri-food tech space. A little bit more on the technical side to be eligible for the competition. They need to have a fully developed product or a minimum viable product that they've either launched or they are, very quickly able to launch in the market. Secondly, they need to showcase growth and impact, and how we define that could be through paid customers or active customers. That's to get a better sense of the scale of the business and the potential of it. And as we're based in Sharjah, we would ideally like them to be interested in expanding to the MENA market.
And in terms of the grants issued by Sheraa, as well as your workshops, your startup competitions, there's always a common theme that whatever projects you promote, fund, and train, they have a social consciousness element to them. And we're seeing that here with the healing the world theme, feeding the future, health tech, food tech. Can you talk to us about that social awareness aspect of Sheraa and why it's such an important part of your initiatives?
Yeah, absolutely. In the wake of the COVID-19 crisis and, the resulting lockdowns, what we realized is that going forward, especially these two tracks, the health tech and the agri-food tech tracks, developing startups in this is going to be crucial for us to be able to rebuild the society. But even if we, rewind and go back to when we launched as an entity, when Sheraa launched, we've always been focused on, promoting the youth, inspiring the youth, inspiring entrepreneurs through different initiatives. That's why most of our, cash-based support is equity-free. We're there to be the guide, the help for founders, for entrepreneurs. And, that's how Sheraa was born, and we're continuing to do that. We're just now zoning in a little bit on, the pressing challenges in healthcare, in food tech, trying to help, the startups in Beirut as well through different initiatives going forward.
Can you elaborate on those initiatives taking place in Beirut?
So I mentioned it briefly a little, but essentially, it's a $100,000 cash grant. What we want to do is that, essentially help these startups that are operating in vital sectors such as housing, water, sanitation, healthcare, and e-commerce, rebuild, and reignite. These were the individuals that were the first responders to the Beirut crisis. And they're uniquely positioned to represent a new standard for change leaders and governments as well. We instantly started hearing back, literally the day after it happened, that there's so many entrepreneurs, so many founders, despite being impacted themselves, that they want to rebuild the city, their businesses, and help each other as much as possible. The 10 startups that we did select, they were selected on the impact and the severity they suffered due to the crisis, how they plan to use the grant donation, and a presentation of their 2-year development plans based out of Beirut. These startups, they have very practical plans to leverage their regional connections and expertise to deliver sustainable, positive impact on Lebanon's economy. And our objective as Sheraa is to empower these tech-driven startups to fulfill their promise of providing effective solutions to the rebuilding of Beirut and kickstarting its economy.
And final question here, in terms of what you've seen in the participation, for instance, back in May when you launched that $1 million Solidarity Fund, your various initiatives, your competitions. Can you talk to us about the overall feel for the people participating in these initiatives, the startups, the small and medium enterprises? Just talk to us in generally about outcomes and how what you've done as Sheraa, how that's affected the entrepreneurial landscape here in the United Arab Emirates.
Yeah, so, since May, we've done a lot, to be honest, in terms of trying to support founders. So we launched the fund, and within the fund, we've had some sub-initiatives. So first and foremost, we launched a partnership with Crescent Ventures, which was, again, to help startups supported directly by the COVID crisis, equity-free cash grants. We've also collaborated with Motivate Media Group to launch, another fund. And help startups more on the advertising space and digital marketing. Now the United for Beirut and the Ucan Initiative. Apart from that, we've launched regular, pretty much weekly online webinars to help founders, deal with especially things like cash flow issues, which are a huge thing because of COVID. We've increased the number of mentorship hours that we as a team ourselves are providing, but also connecting founders to external mentors and external entities to facilitate connections, knowledge sharing, all of these different elements. And, I would have to say that, founders are really appreciative of any sort of support. It doesn't necessarily have to be through the form of cash or investment. Certainly that helps. But on an individual basis, if you're an industry expert or you're looking to work with startups, we're always happy to connect individuals with founders, with startups to help them, try and deal with the crisis as best as possible. And finally, going forward in December, we will have our flagship event as well, Sharjah Entrepreneurship Festival, which is virtual this year, which will have a whole range of other support elements as well for startups and founders.
Brilliant. We look forward to taking part in that event as well. Thank you, Hisham, for joining us and talking to us all about Sharjah Entrepreneurship Center's initiatives.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Mr. Hisham.
Thank you. Stay tuned to the Morning Majlis. We've got more stories lined up this morning. In fact, we're going to elaborate on the big launch taking place here in the Eastern region in Kalba. Major road and infrastructure projects inaugurated by His Highness Sheikh Dr. Sultan bin Mohammed Al Qasimi, Supreme Council member and ruler of Sharjah. Stay tuned to find out more.
Pulse 95. Between local lines. Notes from the Emirate.
Yes, notes from Sharjah. His Highness Sheikh Dr. Sultan bin Mohammed Al Qasimi, Supreme Council member and ruler of Sharjah, has been really keen on the development of the eastern region of the Emirate. In February, His Highness allocated about 5 billion dirhams to develop the city of Kalba in particular here in the Emirate through various development and touristic projects during his visit to the Kalba Kingfisher Retreat. And as part of his visit, the ruler of Sharjah also reviewed development projects in the city and additionally announced an allocation of 1 billion dirhams for the Sharjah Kalba Road project. And upon its completion, the project will reduce travel time for commuters from 90 to 45 minutes. Now, for people who don't know, Kalba is the most popular destination for ecotourism here in the UAE, with opportunities to go to see wildlife or to witness wildlife spotting while trekking, kayaking, as well as scuba diving. And it's a great place to go and witness so many amazing, it's an adventure. It's a great adventure. But also there are 3 projects that are being developed, or being actually not developed, but being launched this morning as we speak by His Highness, the ruler of Sharjah.
Absolutely, Rania. And these projects are a part of the transformation of Sharjah's eastern region into a hub of tourism, heritage, and environmentally friendly destinations. So we'll kickstart this with today's launch of Kalba Road. His Highness Sheikh Dr. Sultan bin Mohammed Al Qasimi, Supreme Council Member and ruler of Sharjah, inaugurated Kalba Road, which is comprised of 2 main roads. The first is Wadi Al-Hilu Road. It's a 2-lane road that's 12.5 kilometers long, 26 meters wide, and is comprised of 3 intersections and 10 pedestrian crossings. 6.5 million square meters of mountainous rocks were removed to pave way for the road, whose speed limit is 120 kilometers per hour. This is a significant development in Kalba because it is set to cut your commute time from 20 minutes to 10 minutes. The second road that is part of Kalba Road is Wadi Mdiq, a tunnel within a mountain that is 8.5 kilometers long, is made up of 5 pedestrian crossings, 1 intersection, 2 lanes with a 100-kilometer speed limit, and this should cut your commute time from 10 minutes to 5 minutes as well. But another development that's got people talking, one that has been inaugurated today, is Kalba Corniche Road.
The Kalba Corniche Road as well. But before that, there's the Kalba, the hanging garden on the Kalba Road. It was actually built on a mountain ridge next to Al Hayar tunnel. It is designed in the form of slopes and mountains, and it also has 12,600 trees of different types that have been planted on garden slopes that are 50 meters high.
And regarding the Corniche Road, it's a 3-lane road. Each side is 9.5 kilometers long. And it's an elaborate development. There's so much going on here. 2,200 parkings and 85 additional ones dedicated to people of determination. It is well lit. Over 430 street lights have been erected. 14 pedestrian crossings are in there in the shape of speed bumps as well, including a running course that's 7 kilometers long. So it's incredibly walker friendly, with 27 entrances for people heading to the beach as well. The Kalba Corniche Road also has a lake, a marine club, green plains that span an area of 240,000 meters, walkway, beaches, a park that's 8 kilometers long are also part of this grand development in Kalba. Now, the speed limit at the Kalba Corniche Road is 80 kilometers per hour. It is a safe destination. Breakwater structures are in there to protect from sea waves. Also, water barriers that are 7 kilometers long are in there to ensure safety of travel.
Yeah, there's so many things to do in Kalba. It's really a hidden gem. There's so many discovery experiences that you can go through in Kalba. And if you're interested, you can go over to Kalba as well for kayaking. It's a major activity there, because it's one of the activities that makes the best of Sharjah weather, obviously. Also, Wadi Al-Hilu, or it translates into Sweet Valley. It's the Sweet Valley of the UAE. Wadi Al-Hilu, it's blessed with abundant underground water. It's home to important archaeological sites as well. So you will definitely enjoy Wadi Al-Hilu. There's also Kalba Birds of Prey Center, which is also another beautiful spot to go, especially for a falconry, because it does remain a popular sport today here in the UAE. Also, you can visit Kalba Conservation Reserve. It's home to remarkable landscapes, diverse ecosystems, and also activities for every nature enthusiast. And also you can go to and visit Kalba Beach. It's beautiful. Explore it over a 7-kilometer stretch of shimmering sand and pristine water at that beach. Also camping, obviously. You can't miss that, right? Desert safari tours all the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
Amen.
hiking trips.
There's so much to do there.
There's so
We
much
could
to
go
do
on and
there.
on.
Yeah, we can do a lot over there in Kalba. So it is definitely Sharjah's hidden gem. So you have to go over to Kalba. There's so many activities to do.
So much to do, and the Morning Majlis is your guide to all of that. As throughout our shows and future editions as well, we continue to discover and report on the remarkable transformation that Sharjah's eastern region is undergoing under the patronage of His Highness Sheikh Dr. Sultan bin Mohammed Al Qasmi, Supreme Council member and ruler of Sharjah. But until then, we've got to wrap this show up today because to pave the way for other shows here on Pulse 95.
We have to pave the way for the other shows that are here on Pulse 95. And we have to go because today is Thursday. Thursday vibes in the studio, kind of.
Hey, absolutely.
Today is Thursday. We gotta enjoy our weekend. We're the first people that me and Ahmed, we're gonna enjoy our weekend. We're gonna start it early. But yeah, if you want to catch our conversations that we had throughout the show today, you can type in the Morning Majlis on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or SoundCloud and listen in to what we had to say and what we discussed throughout the show. And if you didn't get a chance to watch us today live on YouTube, you can still do so. Type in Pulse 95 Radio in the search bar on YouTube and look for our videos and highlights. Just look for Morning Majlis or the other shows. We still have also all the other shows upload their shows and episodes as well.
Yeah, so much great content on the Pulse 95 radio channel and YouTube as well. We'll see you Sunday at 7 a.m. And until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned to Pulse 95.
If you liked this episode of the Morning Majlis, drop a like and subscribe.
95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.
Pulse.